friends, welcome back to the channel. It's a little bit warm out here on the screen and porch, so we're gonna move kind of fast, but I have been wanting to film for the longest time the blush tag. I've gone back and forth on blushes for each category, but I think I finally narrowed it down to my best responses for this blush tag. So let's go ahead and get started. The first one is Prettiest Color, and for me, I'm gonna pick my Rockateur Benefit blush. I think it just has a really pretty, just glowy sheen to it. It's a beautiful color. I wear it a ton in the fall and the winter. It's one of my favorites, and I'm amazed that I haven't hit a bigger dent on this. I think this is a prime example of why I don't pan blushes, because they literally take forever. I need such little pigment to color my cheeks. So I'm gonna have this puppy for a while, but I love it. The second part of the tag is best packaging, and for that, I gotta give it to Milani. They have these beautiful rose blushes. They, I think, are designed to have pretty much all of the products sitting on top of the pan rather than in the pan. I don't know if that's true or not, but I feel like that's the only way they can have this really beautiful top layer like this. These are absolutely gorgeous. The two that I have are in Tea Rose and Romantic Rose, and they're just really awesome. They're not necessarily packaging, but to me, they're just the absolute prettiest blushes to look at, and I really, really like them. The third question is the most pigmented. Now, for me, that could honestly be any one of my blushes because I am so pale. But when I was thinking about this category in particular, I wanted to think about the ones that I feel would be universally pigmented for a lot of people, and for that, I picked the two e.l.f. blush palettes. I have both the light and the dark. These are $6 each. They're super affordable. They are beautiful colors, and they're really, really pigmented. I think they would flatter a lot of skin tones. I know that they got a lot of praise when they first hit the market, and I don't hear about them as much now, but they are still really good blushes, and they've come out with lots of palettes this size, and you can actually pop the backs out to mix and match them and add bronzer or other face highlights that they've come out with. So you have a lot more versatility with these for traveling, but as far as pigment goes, they're just top notch, and just the lightest dusting, you can cover your cheeks and have beautiful popped pigment on there, so I have to hand it over to e.l.f. For my everyday blush, I have a Tarte favorite. This is the shade Fanciful. I've actually, as you can see, worn down some of the initial sort of pattern on there. This is a matte blush, and this is the first Tarte blush I've ever bought, ever used, that's completely matte, and it stays on my cheeks. It's a beautiful color. I can wear it with shimmery eyes, matte eyes. It just goes with a lot of different looks I've done, and I really have found that I wore this for a couple of months straight every day and never got sick of it. As far as party blush category goes, I have two. I have the Too Faced Perfect Flush Blush in Peach Beach. It is just such a shimmery, goddessy type of blush that I feel like it just screams party. And then I have the same feelings about the Tarte Sweet Blush. This, I don't know if you can see, maybe a little bit, it has this beautiful golden sheen to it. It's such an awesome blush. Again, like most of Tarte's blushes, really pigmented. So either one of these I think would be excellent for that shimmery party look that I tend to go for. The next category is regret purchasing. And for me, the one that I regret purchasing is the Benefit Coralista blush. This is a blush that, it's one of the first box blushes and first high-end blushes I ever actually purchased. It's a really pretty color, and I hear a lot about it. I just personally never reach for it, and I'm not really sure why. I think it's a nice color, but I just am not gravitating towards it, so it gets really little use in my collection, and even though I'm gonna hold on to it and maybe come back to it at some point, I regret purchasing it just because I don't think it's the color that I naturally am drawn to. Now on to least used. This is a tough category for me because I don't think I get a lot of use out of the many blushes that I personally own. I just don't ever really progress through them very quickly, and I feel like once I get hooked on one certain blush, I stay with it and stay with it and stay with it for a long time. So for me, I could have picked any number of blushes, but the one that I think is the most neglected is this Tarte Holiday palette. This is the Pinup Girl Amazonian Clay blush palette. It came out a couple of Christmases ago, and I honestly haven't even worn these. There are beautiful shades in here, and I had heard such great things about this, but I've honestly barely touched it. And I think part of the problem is the way the packaging is, even though it's super cute, it can't fit with all my other blushes, so I have it sitting down in my eyeshadow palette drawer, and I don't normally go there to look for blush. So I think that maybe now that I've done this particular tag, I'm gonna pull this out and keep it on my like not top shelf, because I don't really have a top drawer, but right on my desktop or tabletop in my line of vision to see maybe if I can play with it more and get some use out of it. The next question is most used, never let go of, and that is a Julep blush. This is in the shade Peach Bellini. It's a little bit crushed, so that shows you that I'm never gonna let it go. It is beautiful color. I love wearing this in the summer. It is, I think, such an underrated brand. I think Julep is known mostly for its nail polishes and it's known for its subscription service, but it really does have some beautiful makeup, and their blushes are top notch, especially this shade. I have thought about rebuying it to get the nice, like brand new, updated, not smashed packaging, but I just don't want to let this one go. It's one of my favorites, and I don't want to start over with a new blush. I kind of want to pan this, but I don't think I'll ever actually be able to pan a powder blush. I just don't have faith in myself. My favorite blush brand, I have to say, is Tarte. I find myself gravitating really towards Tarte blushes. I like the matte blushes. I like the sparkly, shimmery sheen blushes. They just have a really wide variety that I have gotten a lot of use out of. I think second to that would be my Benefit blushes, because those I also spend a lot of time playing with and love. My greatest blush of last year would be this Ofra blush in Paradise Pink. This I got in a BoxyCharm. It's a really pretty color. What I like about it is that I actually have to build up the color on my cheeks for it to be fully opaque, which I like. I like that I don't have to be super stressed about having too much pigment or packing on too much color with like one gentle tap. I have to actually work at using it, which I like. I also, as you guys probably have noticed by now, I use a lot of variety of blush brands. I'm not exclusive to any one, high-end or low-end. I think I have more high-end blushes than other types, but I just really enjoyed that blush over the past year. The most practical, this has definitely changed in my opinion. I am gonna give it up to the Bombs How About Them Apples palette. If you are somebody who likes a cream blush, this is an awesome palette. You get an array of different shades. You get mattes, you get some sparkly, shimmery, sheeny colors. Like, you just have such a variety to work with, and I really, really like this palette. I left this neglected for a really long time, and when I first was gonna film this, I pulled this out and realized how much I liked it again and rediscovered it, and I've since panned one of the entire shades in there. It's just a really awesome, universal, can get you any kind of look you need kind of palette, so I would totally recommend it, especially if you like a cream blush. The least practical, I have a draw for two, both from Sephora. The first is this Sephora Colorful Cheek Ink Gel. This has zero color payoff. I can layer this and layer this and layer this and then see a little bit of color, but then I have this thick layer of like a gel texture on my face, and it's not nice. So this came in a Sephora play box. I did not buy this, fortunately, and I would not recommend it. I think it's super just wasteful and unnecessary, and there are so many good blushes out there. This is not one of them. The other one that I don't think is very practical from Sephora is this spray blush. This is a waterproof aerosol can, like you shake it and spray it kind of color, or kind of blush in the shade Such a Peach. My roommate and I went to Sephora, we saw these, thought it was super cool. They also had a bronzer, which was very scary, and picked this up, and I have tried playing with this, and this could be not practical to me because maybe I'm not great at applying it, or maybe there's some kind of learner's curve, but when you apply it, I look at this and think, yes, I want to be able to spray it on my face. That seems like the convenience factor of this. I don't want to spray it on my hand and then stipple it on. That's unnecessary. I may as well get a cream or a gel or any other kind of blush. So when you spray this, the issue I have with it is it's so hard to get it precisely on your cheeks. I have sprayed this and it's ended up like down here or here. I can't quite seem to figure out the right angle and distance to hold it and spray it and get the accuracy at the same time. So I wouldn't recommend it. I don't think it's that great. I'm gonna keep playing around with it because I'm not gonna return it, but it's just not what I think a great convenient blush should be. My most expensive blush, it's kind of a toss-up. I think I've got an equal amount of Benefit blushes and an equal amount of Tarte blushes. The blushes that I own from Tarte that aren't in that palette are mini size, so that definitely cuts down in costs. If I'm being honest, I wish all blushes could be bought in a mini version, because that to me is a much better use of my money. I'd rather spend $10 on a blush that I know I'm probably never gonna get through versus $28 or $38 on a blush. I think the most expensive thing though, if I really look at it, would be this palette that I got for Christmas, which is partly why I feel so terrible that it's my least used palette. I definitely wanna get more use out of this. We already talked about that. And then the last category is least expensive. Now, obviously the e.l.f. blushes, if you look at the palettes, those would be really cost-effective, least expensive kind of blush, but I wanted to keep it to a single blush. And I chose, because yes, there are cheaper ones, I chose the NYX Whipped Lip and Cheek Soufflés. These are awesome. I saw these in a YouTube video and these two shades in particular were my favorites and they are gorgeous on the cheeks. They have a really nice doe foot applicator that lends itself really well to applying to both the cheeks and the lips. I don't personally use it on my lips, but I think it really could be. To me, it's basically a whipped version of their butter glosses. I love it. They dry down, they feel really nice on my cheeks, and I get really beautiful color off of them. So I feel like a NYX blush in this particular one is super cost effective and I would happily repurchase those any day. Alright guys, that's kind of my whirlwind of blushes. I would love to hear any of your thoughts about blush, whether you answer any of the questions in the comments down below or if you've used any of the ones that I have spoken about, let me know your thoughts in the comments below and I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye.